DeDe got a podcast?
What?
DeDe got a podcast.
What's the tea? What's the vibe? What's the hype? Yeah, we live. Talk a little this, a little bit of that, a little bit of love, a little bit of shit. That's DeDe. Go DeDe. Go DeDe. Go DeDe. You a bad bitch. You a savage. Making money is a habit.
It's DeDe's Dope Podcast, everybody. I say you catch a laugh and get the tea, but you also want to get some information today. I got to tell everybody a story. You know, I went to an event recently, and as I'm sitting in the audience, this man got up to speak, and he talked about the numbers of people who have registered to vote, the amount of African Americans who are voting, the amount of younger African Americans who are voting, and the numbers are sad, and they were disappointing. And it made me think to myself, I have a platform. I have a radio show that's national. I have a podcast. And I said, I got to do something. I got to help. I got to get the word out. I got to get this man on the show. He's here, everybody. The man we always call, our man downtown, John Wiley Price. I love it. All right, John, you spoke to me. You know that. And I walked up to you and I told you that. I said, thank you. And I said it on the air. I said, thank you for waking me back up, right? Because I have a responsibility. I have a job. And today, I need you to tell everybody what all of our jobs is to do right now.
Well, first of all, we're all armed. Mm-hmm. And if anyone should understand that, African Americans, no one has had to go through what we've had to be sifted in order to get just basic rights.
Yes.
Lyndon Baines Johnson, he didn't do it on his own because King pushed it.
Mm-hmm.
But he said the vote is the most powerful device ever devised by man
mm-hmm.
to give power to men that are different just because they are different. And see, I mean, again, I talked about it the other night. We have to understand. I'm almost 73. Since I turned 18, I've never, ever missed an election. School board, college, it doesn't matter, municipal, constitutional. As a commissioner for 38 years, that is a constitutional office. Across this state, there are 254 counties. It doesn't matter how large Texas gets,
right.
It will never be more than 254 counties.
Okay.
We have 26 million people in this state. Dallas is the second largest county in this state. We're the 9th largest county in this nation, over 3,100 counties. And so when you look at Dallas County, 2.6 million people, there's 1,800,000 who are 18 years of age and older.
Okay.
Of that, 1,400,000 are registered to vote.
Okay.
And of that, during presidential years, we've never had more than 900,000 people vote. So that basically means you got 500,000 people out there with voter registration cards who are armed, who are not participating. That's number one.
Okay.
Then you turn around. That's during presidential year. It falls off about 50%. You know, what we see in terms of this whole national debate, we talk about democracy. A lot of us not understanding it. And I've always used this analogy.
Okay.
Ross Perot has more money than I'll ever have.
Okay.
You know, and that's okay.
Right.
But guess what? On election day, he's got one vote and I got one.
There you go.
That's
Come
that
on.
power. And we don't understand that.
What? Okay, let me ask you this then, because those were the numbers I heard you say the other night, and that's what made me say, I got to do something. I got to figure out how we can get the word out. We got to get everybody out here to vote. Understand midterm elections matter. Understand every vote. Every time you get a chance to vote, you need to vote and arm yourself and get the knowledge. But what is the problem? What happened?
I wish I knew. Dallas County a couple of years ago. See, let me tell you, I came up in a time when we used to have excuse voting. That meant you had to vote on election day. You didn't have absentee voting meant if you're going to be out of the city, out of the county, then you could sign up and then you could vote early.
Right.
Now you get a chance to mail ballot. You get 2 weeks of early voting. You get a Saturday all day long.
Right. So you say there's no excuse.
Yeah, Sunday afternoon you can vote, and so you don't have any excuses anymore. But the new attack is to take down the 2 weeks of early voting. One of the things we've seen in the early voting is that 60% of the vote occurs in the early vote, those 2 weeks. In other words, like me, I vote on the Thursday. I say if I die on the second day, you can't go in there and take my vote out.
Okay.
I'm already in. So 2 weeks, you get a chance to vote. Saturday, you get a chance to vote. Sunday afternoon, you get a chance to vote. So you don't have any excuse. Number two, Dallas County spent $30 million to do what we call mobile voting. What that basically means is you used to, prior to about 4 years ago, you used to have to go back on election day to your polling place and vote. We have 47 early voting locations around Dallas County. Guess what that means? That means you can go vote anywhere.
Yep, which is good.
They can pull your voter stock up at any of those, and you can vote.
Yes. Okay, here's the other question I want everybody to know, too, because you talked about it, and we were talking before we even got on about how hard it was for even just us as African Americans to get the right to vote. And now we're not exercising that right.
Literacy tests, poll taxes. In fact, I have a T-shirt where I found an old voter a poll tax receipt, and I had it plastered on my T-shirt because nobody else had to pay poll taxes in this country but us. Everybody remembers the Oprah Winfrey piece where when the guy asked her about how many jelly beans were in the jar. I know that sounds. It sounds so far-fetched, but it was real,
That's what happened to the people back then.
Literacy test.
Just to be able to vote.
vote.
And then today, we don't even...
Right. And she remembered before she could do the fail on the jelly beans, she could cite the Constitution. She recited the preamble to the Constitution. She could do all of that. But at the end of the day, the individuals who were basically validating whether or not you could do it gave literacy tests. How many hairs on a dog's back?
Right.
How many pounds of cheese in the moon? You said, that guy must be making it up. You're not reading. You're not understanding. That's what we've had to go through just to get the right to vote. Now, all you got to do is be 18 years of age, have a residency, and sign
go
up.
there and vote. Now, let's talk about the midterm elections, right?
Okay.
And why they're important. Because a lot of people will get, and I was just as guilty. As at times you're like, okay, it's the presidential. We all get, excited about that, and we do it every 4 years. Let everybody know, why is this so important?
Politics are local. Let me just tell you, in this state, we have 150 state reps. Okay. We have 31 senators. Again, constitutional.
Okay.
Doesn't matter how large your state gets, how much your state grows. We're gonna have 150 in the state house.
Okay.
We have 31 in the Senate. They make up the legislature. Okay. And they make laws that govern. People say, "Well, I live in the city of Arlington."
Right.
Okay. I live in the city of Dallas. Okay, that is a charter city. But guess what gives the construction of that? The state legislature. They give the construction. They said, this is what it takes for you to be a city.
Okay.
This is what it takes for you to be a charter city. A charter city makes their own rules.
Okay.
And then a city that's under 5,000 is called a general liability city. Again, gets its governance from the state.
Okay.
Now, nationally, we got 535 seats. 435 are congressional.
Okay.
100 are U.S. senators. So each one of the states gets 2, regardless of the size.
Okay.
The 435 move around based on the population.
Okay.
That's what we call every 10 years. And since we do what we call redistrict, that means we redraw the lines.
In between.
But the people who draw the lines Or the legislature,
Okay.
the people who are in power. So if you haven't voted for the legislature and had the right people in place
To
draw
represent
the
for
line,
you in
to
your
draw the
community,
line, right, then those lines are going to look like whoever's in power.
So that's why it's important that we start paying attention. So you can't complain about whatever's happening in your neighborhood if you haven't gotten out here to vote.
Exactly, and the same way with what we call appropriation.
Okay.
That means giving out money. That's all it means. They appropriate money. And everything is so connected. I guess what bothers me, and I tell people all the time, stop all this posturing. What bothers me is that in this region, we call Dallas-Fort Worth. It's larger than Houston. Dallas-Fort Worth region. We are spending close to between all of the municipalities. That's the Dallas College. That's all of the ISDs. That's the Texas Department of Transportation. That's Dallas County. That's hospital districts. That's Tarrant County. All of that. We're spending almost $1 trillion. DFW Airport. And so then you ask yourself, how are Black engineers participating? How are Black architects participating? And so that is the only reason that we need to understand whoever's in office, it continues to create that lifeline in terms of our community. And when you look at that, what you're going to find is that in terms of the vocations and the skills and all, we do okay on the professional side, but we're nowhere near our numbers. But again, it's all politics. It's all politics.
But you understand, though, John, for a lot of people, politics scares people. It seems it's big. It seems, you know what I mean? They don't feel like they're smart enough. They don't understand. How do you break it? How do we break it?
We spend money trying to tell them. Let me tell you something. First of all, in this country, you are not born without politics, and you can't die without politics. If you're born and you don't have a birth certificate, you don't exist.
Right.
If you die and you don't have a death certificate, you are missing in action.
Yeah.
So from the womb to the tomb, politics controls you.
Come on now.
That's it. And so we need to understand it. Keep in mind, we, African American, I'm going back to us again, we were not born. We were legislated into existence. The 3/5 compromise. Because they said they're not human and they're chattels. And therefore, chattels is like animals.
All right.
So you weren't born. So as a result, until we got past the 3/5 compromise, the people in the institution of slavery, again, the 3/5 compromise came out of redistricting. They said, hey, we got all of these folks, these Africans in the institution of slavery. They said slaves. But Africans in the institution of slavery, we got to take care of. So we got to figure out how to count them.
Let me ask you a question then. Because if there's somebody listening right now, and what you just said, they don't know. You've been doing it for years. This is what you know.
Right.
But there's somebody else who may not, right? They don't know where to begin, how to get the information. Do you get what I'm saying? And I think it can become so intimidating that people just throw their hands up and go, I don't understand. I'm out of it. I don't want to vote. I don't understand. Do you get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So
I get it.
what can you say that can directly impact them today in the most simplest terms?
Okay, first of all, let me just say this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the 135-year history, I'm the only African American that's ever been on the commissioner's court. That's number one. Number two, I'm the longest serving elected official in Dallas County history. But all of this knowledge I'm giving you, there ain't no commissioner's book out there. I had to go do the work. If I create, as I said, community-oriented primary care clinics in the ring that we call Parkland, under the Center for Disease Control, under the Affordable Care Act, it's because I got initiatives and I'm going after it. I can talk about Kwanzaa Fest and say, this is what we were doing for a medical home for 2 days. Now it's institutionalized. Well, I have the power to do that. And the thing is, I had to go do the research. I mean, all of this I'm doing, I'm having to do the research. It's the same way with with our schools and what's going on with our schools. That's the reason you see people now beginning to talk about banning books.
Okay,
Wow.
I know it.
Banning books. Why do you want to ban books? Oh, by the way, these little black kids. It's against the law to teach them to read.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we've gone through that. So since we've gone through that, I mean, why don't we read everything we can get our hands on? And when you read, you lead, you grow. That's what we've got to understand. So if Parkland is a safety net hospital in Dallas County, and therefore is one of 110 hospital districts across the state,
Okay.
they got 12,000 employees. Over 6,000 are nurses. Where are they getting their nurses from? Oh, by the way, Prairie View has one of the premier nursing programs in the country. Oh, by the way, Prairie View has one of the premier engineering programs. It's up to me to navigate that. I'm back to politics, driving it. You know, so we've got to understand.
Politics is in everything.
It's in everything.
And so we need to educate ourselves. We need to get out here and vote.
Exactly.
To make a difference and really pay attention.
But you can't say you don't know. Let me tell you something. I cannot spend one brown penny of your money in trying to advertise politics. I don't care if it's a capital program, and all a capital program is building infrastructure, building streets, drains. I know I don't want to get into that much detail, but I can't spend one penny of your taxpayer money. If I decide I'm going to do that, I got to go raise the money. When you hear advertising, when you hear us out here, it is all about money that we've raised to try to help educate you and get the word out for you. That's what you need to understand.
Okay. Let me ask you. You've been doing this, like you said, for how many years now?
38.
38.
As a commissioner, 10 years before that. So all my life.
You've been doing this all your life. Where'd you get this from? Where'd you get the idea to serve? Were you raised that way?
No. I mean, I came up in Forney, Texas, population 1,544. Most of it was livestock. But anyway, no,
John,
I mean,
but hold on, because I'm trying to figure you out as a child. What were you like as a child?
Well,
were you running for president of the high school?
Hey, no. I was in, keep in mind, I came up in a segregated community. I came up in Booker T, Washington. The last couple of years, we went to, Forney High, and kids, basically, then about 4 African Americans graduate because, when, they got, they fell out when we went to the high school. But you got to remember, though, I grew up at a time where they turned out school at Booker T so that we could go chop cotton, pull cotton, haul hay, combine the maize. When I $1.50 100 pounds of cotton, $5 a day to chop. Always been Negro Day at the fair. You can only go to the fair one day.
No.
Now, one day. They called it Negro Achievement Day in my office.
All right.
Hey, I'm just telling you. And see, so now when we go to the game, I did the thing for LY. When we go to the game, Grambling and Prairie View, it's always been a Negro Day at the fair. It was Wiley back in the day, And so it's all we've always done.
So you started. So this is my thing. So then you grew up in that era, and you said, "I got to do something," because you've been fighting for years for us, and I'm going. What is the motive? Tell me, I'm trying to understand the motivation, because they've tried so many times to shut you down and to smear your name and but you keep coming back. Why?
Well, because, I am the beneficiary. My dad used to say, boy, you ain't the first person with ability. You're the first person with opportunity. Okay, so what am I doing to give back? My life means nothing because people have allowed me to be here. And so as a result, what will my footprint be as I pass through this way? So, am I building COPC clinics in terms of access for people? See, you and I, we have automobile, we have transportation.
Right.
Guess what? In Dallas City, 40% of the people are transportation deprived.
Wow.
I showed up the other night at Dallas Area Rapid Transit. That's the bus system. I showed up the other night talking to them about their program. Back to politics. Somebody appoints that board. Back to politics.
Yep.
They spend $300 million on buses. I told them, I said, you know what? I said, white people ain't riding buses.
Right.
Mexicans ain't riding
Right.
buses. Black folks riding buses. We are 40% dependent on them in terms of transportation. Somebody needs to get speak. Because guess what? They ain't got no problem spending billions of dollars
So we need
on
somebody.
trains.
Yeah.
You know, North Dallas, they building train, and they haven't even finished. They're over budget.
Right.
But you can't spend $300 million
Down here
on buses.
for
You
us.
okay?
Right.
Let me tell you
So that
something.
means that we need somebody in a position to speak for us, look out for us, which goes back again to voting.
That goes back to voting. Dallas City Council appoints those individuals. Same way I'm back to that DFW that does billions of dollars in terms of that's Dallas-Fort Worth. They appoint individuals to that board. They make those decisions in terms of who's going to be engineer, who's going to be construction manager, who's going to be owners. You know, DeDe, there's nothing you can think of that at the end of the day, politics doesn't create, you know, the bed for it.
Right.
And so,
right.
I mean, and so I spend the time educating. I have to charge up my colleagues all the time. Wow. You know, I am real clear about who gets positions, and then when they get those positions, I charge them up. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, if we don't look out now, you know, I say this all the time now, and I know some folks ain't gonna be, but see, Kanye can act like he go crazy.
Yeah.
But one thing about it, one thing about the Jewish community, they're unforgiving, and they will chase you down to your you know, I told some friends when he started out with that rant, I said, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I said, well, you heard me say that. I said, okay, I don't care what your name is, Kanye, Ye, whatever you want to call yourself. They coming. And you're starting to see, they're chipping off. They don't play. They don't play. They basically say, "Don't mess with us." Okay?
And some people say, and I agree. Why can't we say? Why did we say that when the man started saying what he was saying earlier about black folks, and he came out with the White Lives Matter, slavery was a choice. We weren't strong in ours, right? Because you know why I said? Because everybody was too busy saying I like his shoes.
Yeah. I mean, see what's else to say? We get caught up. And I told Nike when they came at us, I said, well, hold on. One thing about me, I know who's buying your product.
Yep.
That's number one. Number two, you know, say what you want to say about president administration. When they gave that stimulus money, and everybody from Peaches to Junebug was getting that money, hell, they were buying them tennis shoes.
I know.
So don't, you know.
So now, does Nike have enough of us represented?
Hey, they do now.
Good.
Because they had to, first of all, if they're going to build this, I need to know who's going to run it, number one. I know how many jobs they're going to bring, number two. And then I challenge them about their board. You know,
I know they get tired when they see you coming, don't they? They say, we better get all our ducks in a row because he gonna test us.
Oh, yeah. No.
And I like that.
And that's what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
You're supposed to know there's a pit bull down there. Don't go down there because, you know, I guess the greatest compliment, you know, we just re-released the book. We bought the rights to it, The Accommodation.
Okay.
And I suggest that for reading because it tells about this whole area and what happened.
The Accommodation, okay.
The Accommodation. And we just re-released it. Let me tell you, the author was Jim Schultz. Kwanzaa Fest owned the rights to it because I'd gotten the rights and then I gave it to Kwanzaa Fest. Let me tell you, the greatest compliment I've ever had. We were doing a number of discussions, and he said, "This is the author." A white vendor told me, said, "You know, I really don't like going down to that commissioner's court with that John Wiley Price." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he reads all of the contracts."
Here it is.
That's it.
He reads.
He
Yep.
reads.
He reads.
He reads all the comments.
And guess what? That it. He reads, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, and
That's it, though. But I'm just saying, because that's our problem. They often said that about us now.
Right.
And we need to read. Like you said, we need to read, educate ourselves when it comes to voting.
Yeah.
Read.
Right. And all that on answer, if you want to hide it from black people, put it in the book.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
But we need to start picking it up, because we picking up Instagram more than we picking up a book now.
Sure we are.
Picking up social media more.
Sure we are.
Okay.
Sure we are. And so what we've got to understand is at the end of the day, and again, I'm looking to, every night we take and vet these numbers. We don't know how you voted. We know your what they call leanings.
Mm-hmm.
We know at the end of the day how many people. 32,000. First day of early voting, 32,000 people voted. Okay? 10,000 voted by mail, so 42,000 vote. Well, that was 50% of what happened in 2018.
Okay.
Then I go down, and then we break it out every night. My staff and I, we break that out every night. We buy into what is called a van deal. So we know at least what. That's the reason it's called political science. It's a behavior. And so we know that primarily 80% of the folks who are voting are 55 and older. But young folks ain't they? They're not voting. Now they got the same power as I do. I don't care if I've been a commissioner 38 years. They got the same power on election day. They walk in there with the same power. And then, as I said, we raise the money to try to help give them a guide. If you think I've been doing a decent job, you've been following me, I'm giving you a guide.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm raising the money to give you a guide.
Right.
That's what we've got to understand. Again, you've heard me coming after the state on this whole thing on mental health. That's politics. Keep in mind, Reagan years ago says, open up the mental institutions and let people go because you're not detaining them. Well, okay, but the appropriation, here we go again, the money didn't follow. And so as a result, we find ourselves, I happen to be chair of there are 15 standing committees. Dallas County is 955 square miles. There are 31 cities. There's 4 of us, divided into 4 quadrants, all counties across the state. I got 15 of the 31 cities in my district. That's number 1.
Dang.
Number 2, there are 15 standing committees. I chair 8 of them. I chair jail population, jail sanitation, which is a compliance. You have to be in compliance because people say, well, just put people in jail. That jail, Dallas County's jail is larger than 80% of the people, cities in the state of Texas. And Texas has the largest prison system in the free world, 136,000 inmates. And they don't care about no rehabilitation. And that's the reason we find ourselves, again, politics, find ourselves working with people like the regional black contractors. We're buying apartments. We're putting people in who have a difficult time.
Hold on, John. Let me ask you a question. I'm getting ready to ask you something personal because I believe have you ever been married?
Oh, yeah. I was married for at least about a year and a half. And she woke, as my mama say, she came to herself and said, "Oh no, we ain't finna do."
Oh wait a minute. How old were you? Young? Were you early?
I was 19.
No way.
I was 19 and she was 27, and she said, "Hey, we have a son." My son is in I guess 3 weeks, 2 weeks. My son will be 52.
No way. I didn't know that. See, because I'm going, I couldn't even imagine, because I noticed I didn't see a ring, and I never heard anybody say John Wiley Price's wife, and I'm going, you've been married to your career into politics and helping us. You know that? I mean, I'm watching, I'm listening to you, and I'm going, you've been married to this.
Yeah, I have.
It's your passion.
And people have asked me. I'm married to the community. I mean, I'm going to, if I'm chairman of jail sanitation, I'm going to pop up. I'm going to make sure, again, that I've got a black sheriff. She's wonderful. But I am in charge of facilities. And that's what, again, a commissioner does. Roads and bridges, yes. I've got a crew that builds roads and bridges for me. I work with my cities and capital projects. I decide where water, this whole thing with flood. I tell people.
But John, here's my question. You do all of this, and you're sharing all of this, and you're here and you're there. What do you ever get time to rest? Do you watch movies? What do you do for fun, John Wiley Price?
I sleep. You know what? God, there are 24 hours in a day. I get up in 4:30. As I said, 4:30 is my time. I go to the gym.
Okay.
4:30. And at the end of the day, God gives us all 24 hours. Okay. And I take the 5-2-1 test. The 5 talents, the 2 talents, and the 1 talent.
Okay.
God distributed. And he is wanting to see what I'm going to do with the hours he's given me.
Wow.
That's every day. I understand. And every morning when my eyes open, I understand that I've been I'm still on the team. As my bishop said, I'm still in the wheel. And so every morning I get a revelation. I see something that charges me up and say, why was, you heard me the other day say, why was I left here? Okay? And I'm going to be all in. I'm going to either be 110%, I'm going to walk. I've been with Dallas County 48 years, 30 years as a commissioner. I've never had a vacation.
Wow.
I've been out during the pandemic, the ice storms. My people were considered essential. I was essential. I was on the ground.
Okay.
I don't let them do it if I don't not do it.
Okay, so John, real quick, before I let you go, because I'm trying to understand who John Wiley Price is, the private man, right? Who came up with the man downtown? Was that you, or who started calling you that?
It was me. I was in the public housing units knocking, and I was trying to get young people to understand who I was. And historically, African-American people say, well, that's downtown. I said, well, I'm going to be the man.
You're the man downtown.
I'm going to be the man.
You've been, I'm sure, given so many awards and this and that. Where are they at? Are they at home or are they in your office?
They're in a box somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, but awards don't mean anything.
They don't?
No, awards don't mean anything. But what means something is when I look at what's happening, I started down at Reagan Road in mental health.
Yeah.
When I look at what's happening, I got 400 people in the Dallas County Jail, 78 of them are misdemeanors.
Yeah.
But they're mentally challenged. I'm over behavioral health. When I look and I see that I've got to make provisions for folks who can't make it for themselves.
Yeah.
I've got to figure out
how you can help.
That's what I'm supposed to do. And when I talked about the regional black contractors a few minutes ago, we used that $511 million that came down from the Biden administration to talk about, are we going to buy housing over here for people who have been formerly incarcerated, and we call second chance. And then I've got an organization like RBCA, Regional Black Contractors, over here helping them to get skills, helping them to get their OSHA 10 and the OSHA 30 training, and then getting them on job. Then we turn around and do a building like the new administration building where I am. We spend a couple of $100 million, but guess what? I had 80 formerly incarcerated individuals working on that project. And so that's it. Parkland, as you get ready to do $100 million, how many formerly incarcerated? If the new convention center in Dallas and New Fair Park, what's key to us is how many formerly incarcerated. First of all, how many African Americans are going to be in the architect, engineering?
Yep.
Number one. Number two, how many formerly incarcerated people? If we don't look out for them, the state's not going to look out for them.
You know what? I see that's what you're passionate about, and I love it. I love it. Look, I appreciate you. I gotta stop it. I appreciate you coming in. I do. I know you're busy. I know you have a lot going on, but like I said, you were speaking that day, and you woke me up, and I said, let me use my platform to do what I can and to also understand you more, and I want everybody to understand you as well, and everybody has to get out, and we just have to vote. We just have to vote. We got to get involved in politics. We got to read up, everybody. And the book you said again, give everybody
The Accommodation.
The Accommodation.
The Accommodation by Jim Schultz, and the preface and the owners, John Wiley Price, will re-release.
All right, y'all, this man right here, our man downtown, that's him, John Wiley Price, y'all. It's DeDe in the morning.
What's the tea? What's the vibe? What's the hype? Yeah, we live. Talk a little this, a little bit of that, a little bit of love, a little bit of ratchet. That's DeDe. Go DeDe. Go DeDe. Go DeDe. You a bad bitch. You a savage. Making money is a habit.